No Standing 8 Boxing Podcast. We discuss every organization and weight class with your host, Bronx Bomber, educated with the craft. Punch a topic hard like heavyweights, hitting the bag from the top rank to the upcoming. Washed up to the dark horse, champs, #1 contenders. Quick jab or sharp cross, we your source. Come get it. Tuning in, you can have it. Internationally known, our information is valid. See, we on a higher plane, no two episodes the same. We get better as we train, so on top we remain. Come join the conversation, the same sight you'll gain. And outside of the ring, we do the damn thing.
All right, fight fans, welcome to another edition of No Standing Boxing Talk. I am your host, the Bronx Bomber, and today I'm going to get into a little bit of the Anthony Joshua and Usyk fight and the rematch, and in particular, why the predictions are so wide in the favor of Usyk. But before we go there, shout out to my crew at New York Fights. We had an all-star prediction panel that posted yesterday. If you haven't seen it, visit NewYorkFights.com. See how we voted. We all pick Usyk to win in one shape or another, either by knockout or by unanimous decision. I think one person picked Anthony Joshua to win. And so we're going to get into that, mostly because of a comment that I saw that said only one person picked Anthony Joshua to win. And then said something else. I went to go look for the tweet, and I couldn't find it. I don't know if it was taken down or whatever the case was. But I'm pretty sure there's a reason why Usyk is favored among many of the pundits and experts and fans to win this fight. I also there's a reason why Las Vegas has him favored, even if it's by a small margin, to win this fight. And for me, because I can't speak for nobody else on why they picked him, but for me, I was never really high on Anthony Joshua. Never. I mean, you could always go back and look at my other videos and see that why I was never really high on him to begin with. He is a product of a very weak heavyweight division. Yeah, I said it. The heavyweight division's been weak for a long time. And it gives opportunity for semi-great heavyweights to win world titles, like Anthony Joshua, like Deontay Wilder, and any of these folks or fighters that had heavyweight belts in the recent past, with the exception of Tyson Fury, who I believe is the only heavyweight right now that is a true champion, a true fighter based on his skill set and how he fights. I believe, and the reason why I believe this is because Anthony Joshua would not have won a world championship in any decade. I mean, I'm going to go back as probably the 70s. I'm bold enough to go back to the 40s and 50s, but y'all going to kind of argue me with size, and he would have beat Joe Louis because of his size, and Rocky Marciano and Floyd Patterson because of his size. All right, I'll take that. All right, but starting in the 60s, he's not beating Sonny Liston. He's not beating Muhammad Ali. Let's go to the 70s. He's not beating any of those guys in the 70s. Jeez, he's not beating Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier. He's not beating Larry Holmes. He's not beating, I won't even go as far as to say he's not even beating Leon Spinks. He's not beating Ernie Shavers, Ken Norton Sr., should I say. He's not beating Ron Lyle. I'm even going to go as far as say he's not beating Cooney or Corey. He ain't beating any of them. All right? In the 80s, forget it. He's not beating Holyfield. He's definitely not beating Mike Tyson. Yeah, y'all going to tell me about the height and the size. Mike Tyson would have crossed that guard faster than Andy Ruiz and put a number on Anthony Joshua, so stopped it. He's not beating Riddick Bowe. In the 90s, he's not beating Riddick Bowe. He's not beating Holyfield. He's not beating Lennox Lewis, definitely. He's not beating any of those guys. Shannon Briggs, even some of the subpar guys he's not beating. He's not beating Andrew Galata. Okay. He's not beating Hasim Rahman back in the 90s. Maybe Oleg Moskayev, Lou Savarese. He's not beating David Tua. He's not beating any of these guys. All right. And that's what I'm basing this off of. That's why I'm comparing. That's why I say Joshua is a product of a weakened heavyweight division, because if fighters of that caliber were fighting in this era, there's no way he's winning any title. I mean, he'd be a top contender. He'll be a Michael Grant, kind of like that. All right. But he is not winning any world championships. Okay. And then the most people are considering this guy a Hall of Famer already. Listen, stop with the Hall of Fame stuff, man. And I'm not saying Anthony Joshua can't get in until Joshua fights somebody definitively. Okay, fights instead of wins a definitive match, instead of retaking his belts back in rematches, which could potentially happen tomorrow. We don't know. It's boxing. Things happen. All right. I'm not saying Joshua can't win this fight, but it's highly unlikely. When you do the apples to apples comparisons, one just doesn't match up. Okay. When it comes to Usyk, as far as talent wise, and Anthony Joshua, it doesn't match up. Let's look at Anthony Joshua's record. The only notable name as far as a top elite fighter that he beat was Vladimir Klitschko, and he was well past his prime. And he struggled in that fight. The only thing was that he willed himself to win that fight, and that's kudos to him. I'm not knocking him for that. I'm just knocking him that that's not really a good hit on your resume. And any of these other guys, they're not elite. Any of the guys he beat to defend or win his titles, none of them could compete in any of the eras that I said. Not one. Just Anthony Joshua is right now the best of the eye. Because none of those guys are winning world titles in any of the eras I just mentioned. So, of the eye, Anthony Joshua is the most eye. So it's expected for him to win. So we saw what happens when he ran up against a younger, more skilled fighters that have been doing this for a long time. I knew Anthony Ruiz was going to give him problems. I didn't think Anthony Ruiz was going to win. Again, I don't commit to full Joshua opponents' predictions. I know they were going to give him problems. The reason why I don't commit to, because these guys are so small. Anthony Ruiz was so small. All right, but I knew he was fast. I knew he could box. I knew he could fight. But he took it to Anthony Joshua. You saw that result to it. And he would have lost a second fight if Anthony Ruiz would have been disciplined and trained. I knew, and I said it in my in the boxing lounge with my colleague Abe Gonzalez, that Usyk was going to be a problem for Joshua. He could potentially very well win that fight. I didn't commit again to a bold prediction for Usyk to win because of size. Okay, and listen, not no double entendre here, but size matters. Size does matter, but in the case of Usyk, he offset that with his boxing skills. Now people are going back and forth and saying Usyk did totally dominate Joshua. It was a competitive fight. Joshua's in that fight, yes. But what Joshua failed to do was find that thing to adapt, to overcome, and be able to pull out that win. That's what the greats do. And we can't put Anthony Joshua in that conversation until he beats somebody that is we consider now to be the elite. And right now, the only person in that category is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the man for Anthony Joshua to be. Why do you think the same people that are picking Usyk to win are the same people saying that Tyson Fury will come out of retirement to fight Anthony Joshua if Anthony Joshua wins. But he won't come out of retirement to fight Usyk. Why do you think that? Because Tyson Fury knows he's more superior to Anthony Joshua, that his skills are tailor-made to beat Anthony Joshua. Maybe not so much Usyk. All right? So that's where I'm basing it from. He would have even beat Roy Jones when Roy Jones moved up to heavyweight. All right? Chat, you make that argument. You can't. From a skills comparison, from be able to overcome adversity, for be able to do any of that. Think about it. Think about Holyfield versus Bo. I don't think he beats Ray Mercer or Tommy Morrison. Think about these monsters, man. Anthony Joshua's not a monster. All right? Spare me the Dominic Brazil, the Parker, the Pulev, the Povetkin, okay? Spare me, or the Dillian White, please. Spare me all that. Those guys were not elite heavyweights. Of that crew, Joshua was the better one of that. So now when he faces himself, the two times he faced himself with people with a solid skill set, Usyk and Andy Ruiz, he lost. And again, I reiterate, he won the rematch with Ruiz because Ruiz came in overweight, ate too much Snickers, partied, and all that. You know, Ruiz said it himself. So spare me, come on, please, because I believe that had Ruiz come back with the same focus, the same intent, he would have done the exact same thing to Joshua. And I don't expect anything different this Saturday. I might expect some things to be a little different. But, Anthony Joshua needs to come out more aggressive. Or maybe he needs to lay back and do it. Usyk is going to find a way to circumvent all that. He may get tagged, he may get hit, he may do all that. But Usyk's going to find a way to circumvent that. Barring just a one, just crisp shot that tags Usyk, which could possibly happen, all right, because Usyk was stunned a little bit in the first fight. But again, he was able to overcome that. Anthony Joshua, not so much. The only time he did it was during the Klitschko fight. And again, I think Klitschko would have put him away. Klitschko that was 5 years younger would have put him away. Let's not even talk about the Klitschko that dominated the 2000s. All right, so yeah, man, that's why I think, for me, that's why I voted that way. That's why I've never been high on Anthony Joshua. All right, that's why the Hall of Fame talk, you could kill it. His resume doesn't stack up. All right, if we're just talking about accomplishments, all right, so be it. All right, and if he beats Tyson Fury, if he wins this fight against Usyk, if he loses this fight against Usyk, you better stop all the Hall of Fame talk. Stop. But if he wins this fight tomorrow against Usyk, which I'm not saying he can't, I'm just saying it's unlikely, and Tyson Fury for some reason gets motivated to come out of retirement, which it seems to be the consensus among the boxing world that if Joshua wins this fight, Tyson Fury will come out of retirement to face him. There's a reason for that. I just said it. And Joshua beats Tyson Fury, which is highly unlikely. If he beats him, then we could have a little bit of the Hall of Fame talk. I'm even going to go further and say that if him and Deontay Wilder faced up, I don't think he withstands Deontay Wilder's punch. I just don't think he's been rocked by lesser power. I don't think he gets up from a Deontay Wilder solid, straight right. I think Deontay Wilder, barring that he doesn't get caught with anything from Joshua, wins that fight, and those two, whatever the matchup. We'll see. The heavyweight division is going to get interesting. Deontay Wilder's definitely in the mix because he's coming back. He has a fight here in a few weeks, and we'll see how all this plays out. But until then, spare me the Anthony Joshua, so great. Hall of Fame talk, and being surprised why most of us picked Usyk. We're judging this solely on a performance perspective and a skill set perspective. Anthony Joshua, yes, one Olympic gold. Yes, is athletic. Yes, can box decently. But when you start to get to the upper echelons of what this thing we call levels, these great boxers know how to do this. They know how to exploit. They know how to overcome. Anthony Joshua does not know how to do that. He could get to world-class level. He just can't overcome world-class level. Usyk, world-class. Okay? Andy Ruiz, not so much, but still better than most of the fighters that Joshua beat. I think Anthony Ruiz beats most of those guys. So there you go. There you have it. That's my 2 cents on it. That's why I stand with it. Give me the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at the Box Bomber. Follow New York Fights. Follow my articles there and all my other colleagues. So we released a bunch of stuff this week on New York Fights. A bunch of stuff on Anthony Joshua, on the fight, some historical stuff on Salvador Sanchez, the Y Triller and Ring City failed as boxing platforms. So a lot of good articles on there.
No Standing 8 Boxing Podcast. We discuss
Peace.
every
Box Bomber
organization and
out.